You looked very presidential up there, Andrew, I have to say.
Really, how so?
The gestures, mainly. And the tone of voice, I'd vote for you.
Well, I appreciate that. If I ever give it all up, move to the States and change, the legislation so that a non-US citizen can run for president, I know I've got one vote.
So you already know the legislation. That's brilliant. You're halfway there.
Hey, Ali.
Hey, Andrew.
It's the Showstopper Podcast, a monthly chat to amazing people from the world of comedy, improv, and musical theatre.
So exciting at the moment, isn't it? Musical theatre is just awash with brilliant shows coming out.
Absolutely right, yeah. I'm excited to see The Time Traveller's Wife, Big Little Things, Next to Normal, so many great shows.
And we are actually about to do a showstopper.
That's right, we're backstage at the Rose Theatre Kingston, about to make up who knows what.
Yeah, and we just did the sound check and there's an amazing balcony which we might explore tonight. How
I
exciting.
really want to use the balcony.
Yeah, I know, you did use it in sound check, didn't you? And you looked great up there, I have to say.
If we don't use it in the show, then I've always got that moment,
Yeah, exactly. You can hold on to that forever. You looked very presidential up there, Andrew, I have to say.
Really, how so?
The gestures, mainly. And the tone of voice, I'd vote for you.
Well, I appreciate that. If I ever give it all up, move to the States and change, the legislation so that a non-US citizen can run for president, I know I've got one vote.
So you already know the legislation. That's brilliant. You're halfway there.
But that's not entirely why we're here today, is it, Ali?
But not to discuss American politics.
I'm not sure what we have to add to that debate.
No, exactly. I suppose if we had a guest from Hamilton, we should look into that.
I mean, we already did. Obiama Ugola, who was George Washington in the original London cast. He was amazing.
Incredible. My mum and her husband went to see Hamilton the other day and absolutely loved it. It's just, every cast just brings this new, fresh approach and it's just, it's alive. It's a fizzy show.
Yeah, and every cast fizzes in its own way, I think. I saw Giles Torreira, who was the original Aaron Burr in London. He was amazing, but so different to Leslie Odom Jr., who created the part on Broadway. Like, really amazingly different.
Yeah, it's so encouraging, isn't it? It seems to be happening more and more in musical theatre nowadays that there's just a little bit of wiggle room for each of the cast to make a scene or the show their own. I think we've talked about it before, potentially, maybe when we had James Hume on, actually, and he was very encouraged by the creative team on Les Mis to make the tavern scene his own when he was on covering Thénardier. I just love that. I love how improv is just kind of seeping into all of these amazing shows.
Yeah, I mean, no one has quite as much as wiggle room as we do have.
I mean, we're the wiggle of wiggle room.
Put that on our poster. This month's guest is Jak Malone from the phenomenon that is Operation Mincemeat.
Yeah, absolutely. Taken London by storm. And what a lovely guy. Couldn't have happened to a nicer bloke.
And if you're not familiar with it, Operation Mincemeat was this sort of plucky little fringe show that has since transferred to the West End and become just this massive hit, has thousands of 5-star reviews and like the most enthusiastic fan base of a show ever.
Yeah, and rightly so, because they're all about ensemble. They're all about the community that are following their show, and their on-stage work really reflects that. I love the fact that when you're walking out of that theatre, you're going through the front of house corridors and there are just pictures of the whole company celebrating all the alternates and the understudies, and it just really feels, like a community on stage and off.
Yeah, it's an amazing cast. They all play a million different roles. So it has to be said, Jak Malone has this standout moment playing Hester Leggett and sings this beautiful song, the Letter song that we'll talk about in the episode, that makes everybody cry and is just a really, really beautiful moment and a really standout performance.
Yeah, it must be exciting to be the person who kind of, not grinds the show to a halt. I was going to say grinds the show to a halt.
We've all been that person, Ali.
I mean, he is that showstopper, isn't he? He really is. And the feeling in the auditorium, I just looked to my left and right and people just in tears down the rows. And then the very next second, they're back enthralled with laughter again. It truly is a tour de force performance.
And in this episode, we're also joined by one of our showstopper MDs, Jordan Clark, both chatting and on keys.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jordan is the king of musical theatre, isn't he? It's running through his veins. He is Monsieur MT.
Well, there's nothing else to do except, listen to that chat. How exciting.
It's the anticipation, or as they'd say in Rocky Horror, anticip.
Jak Malone, welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very well.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's very, very exciting. I'm a huge Showstopper fan. Saw it twice in 2 days in Edinburgh. So
Wow,
came
that
the
is
first day,
commitment.
came the second day, and the second day it was my suggestion that got chosen. It was
wow.
a show about a ghost train.
Oh,
Ghost
when
Train.
was this? Last year?
No, years ago, 2017, I think.
Oh, in the pre-times.
Yes, the before times.
The before times.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow, great.
And we should also say we've got amazing showstopper MD Jordan Clark in the room with us.
Hi, hello there. Yes, it's nice to join you guys for the podcast. I'm often on the keys for some songs, but nice to have a chat this time.
Well.
I think I must say, obviously, you've expressed being a fan of Showstopper, flattered. Also, I think I speak for most of us when I say we're a big fan of you and the
thank
glorious
you.
show that you're a part of.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Huge
And so
fans.
You are a show-stealing performer in Operation Mincemeat, the massive hit in the West End at the moment. It's been absolutely stratospheric, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Obviously, I've been with the production since way back in 2019. We started at an 80-seater venue at the New Diorama Theatre, Incredible Theatre. We started there with those guys and have just risen gradually and steadily, and thanks to the support of all of our fans and so many people, the reaction to the show has been incredible. And yes, we've made it. We're at the Fortune. We're in the West End until booking until November.
You just had another extension.
Yes,
didn't you?
another
Congratulations.
extension. Yeah, I'll be sticking around for a little bit longer.
And for those who are not familiar with the show, what is Operation Mincemeat?
So Operation Mincemeat is a musical about the real-life World War II operation. In 1943, we were losing the war, and Churchill hired what he called his corkscrew thinkers to come up with a plan to essentially fool Hitler. We needed Hitler to move his troops so we could invade. So they took a dead body, dressed him up as a British pilot, hid some documents on his person, washed him ashore in Spain, and just relied on the fact that the spies in Spain would ferry those documents to the Nazis, and Hitler moved his troops, and it really, really helped us win the war. I don't know if you know, we won the war. We won that war.
You heard it here
So-
first,
I know.
everybody.
Well, sometimes we do the show, and there's a moment when spoiler alert, we won the war, but there's a moment when we say, there's a big moment, Hitler's moving his troops out of Sicily, and sometimes people in the audience gasp. And we're like, well, yeah. What do you
Still
think?
surprised.
What do you think happened? It's very, very funny.
Suspension of disbelief is still there.
Truly. I think people just really get involved with us, and they must really go along our journey that, yes, they're shocked when we win the war.
It's very nice to hear the show described so succinctly by a cast member. I feel like the amount of people I've spoken to about this show, and they're all just like, I can't describe it.
I
It's
know.
just so wild.
It comes with practice, because you've got to try and
Yeah.
build the show to people when you're inviting people, even telling friends or family. And yeah, what I want to say is it's a crazy, ridiculous romp across Europe.
Yeah.
And I play 30 people.
Everybody.
And my knees are really sore. And yeah, I could go on all day about the many minuscule things that it takes to make and be a part of that show. But yeah, you have to give a good synopsis.
Of all your amazing moments in the show, could you pick a favourite of all those wonderful characters you play?
Bless you.
So I play a lot of characters. The main character I play is Hester, who's the secretary, and I love Hester. I cherish her. I cherish being that character. I've played her for 4 years. She's like a comfortable pair of slippers. But I then get to play Spilsbury for little portions of the show, and he's a coroner. And he advised on the operation, and he essentially, in real life, they said, okay, well, we've got this body, but he was poisoned. Will they believe that he drowned in Spain? And Spilsbury said, in Spain, they're practically feral. They're not gonna. Nobody in Spain is cleverer than I am. They're not gonna have a clue. When of course they did. The top coroner in Spain inspected the body. So I play this big flamboyant coroner, and I'm dripping with blood red jewels and a like incredibly decorated top hat and vinyl black plastic gloves, and it's just it's everything I love. Our costume
It's
designer
so
Ben
good.
Stones, the minute I met him was like, all he wanted to talk to me about was Spilsbury, and he just kept throwing out the word camp, and I was like, oh, I love it. And I was wearing, that day I went in for my fitting, I was wearing a black vinyl waterproof coat that I have, and he was like, oh my god, we were so excited. So yeah, the Spilsbury costumes is everything. I love to be that character.
He's so Broadway, isn't he?
Oh yes, yeah. He loves. He is for the audience. Hester is insular, and she plays naturally amongst all the other characters. There are a lot of characters that will look to the audience, wink to the audience, a lot of fourth wall breakage. But Spilsbury is all for them. I don't think I look at any other characters. I just he's out for the whole thing. He's not for anybody else but them.
I have to be really
amazing.
careful. I keep spontaneously coming out with, here's Brian, he's basically a lung in a drawer, all over the place, which is like my favourite Spilsbury quote. And I threw that out in a Tesco's the other day and just scared the woman next to me.
At the meat cafe.
I was going to say, she was probably looking in the aisle trying to find where the lungs are.
There are some real little nuggets, aren't there? Just such funny, quirky little lyrics in there.
Yeah.
The I Wish I Were a Maggot song.
Yeah, it's
so memorable.
A brilliant song. So that's one of our heroes is. So he's very, very stifled by the fact that he can't put his ideas across or sort of get what he wants from life. And he sings a song about how he wishes he was a maggot, tadpole, termite, wasp, all these other little insects. And the intricacy of the lyrics, the way those guys write, Spitlip as the writers, so they write as a team, they just write cohesively, nobody does one thing. And they just throw around lyrics, and they'll often come up to me with a voice note on their phone written down and say, we've changed it to this. And we're practically in the wing at this point, and I'm like, oh, right, okay, and that rhymes with that, and that's and what beats? Okay, right, great, and on we go, and off we go, and it's very, it's amazing working with writers in such close quarters. They're in the show with me, they're constantly adapting and changing and throwing things out, and it's really great. I love watching them work. Although they are all insufferable if they're listening to this. I don't want to think that I actually like them.
Of course, we'll make sure they do.
I suddenly realised I was on a tangent. I was glorifying them. I was like, no. They're all very sweaty as well, so as long as you know that.
How did you get involved in the show? How did that happen?
So again, to glorify those guys, I was a big fan, a really, really big fan. The three of them were in a company called Kill the Beast that did these horror comedy, really heightened, hilarious plays. And I saw them in Edinburgh the same year I saw Showstopper, actually. So I just immediately became obsessed with them. I was like, that is single-handedly what I want to do. And we had to write a 5-year plan. I was in uni at the time. I was studying in LIPA. And I had to write a 5-year plan. And in my 5-year plan, I wrote, I'll graduate, I'll do this, I'll do that, and I'll work with Kill the Beast. And then I found out after I graduated that a couple of them were splintering off and joining a musician called Felix Hagen, who's an incredible musician and composer. And they were writing a musical. And I was like, I promise you have to let me play. You really have to let me play. I promise you, I'm exactly what you need to be in this show. It's going to be great. And they were just like, okay. Well, they knew me as a really big fan. So I think they were a little bit like, I don't want to deal with this fan guy. They knew me from Twitter. I'd sent them fan art. I'd done all sorts of, I just lobbied them.
Wow, okay.
So eventually they were holding auditions, and they said, they're all on record as saying all this. They said, we'll let the fan, he can audition. It'll be a nice day. He'll have a nice little day. He gets to meet.
Good for him.
He gets to meet us. He's lucky. So I went in. I auditioned, and again, Tash is quoted as I left the room, and Tash said, "Well, he's clearly better than any of us." So for the rest was history. So I was with them from then on, and nobody knew who we were each going to play. I didn't know I was going to play the Hester, the secretary. Then that was all. It was all up for grabs at the time. They just saw, this guy can do multi-rolling and lots of fun bits that we like. So
did they know you had a beautiful falsetto to write for?
No, that was on the very first day I sang that song. If we're ready to
I think we must.
I think we must delve into the song.
That song.
Yes. So the secretary Hester, she's very waspish. She's very formidable. She was known as, in real life, she was known as a dragon. She was a spinster. They called her the Spin, which I think she must have heard them calling it was horrible. So you don't expect too much from her. You expect she's very guarded. And then they say, well, we need to write a love letter from the pilot's fiancé, and it needs to be realistic. And this is all true in real life. Hester, this spinster dragon lady, said, well, leave it to me, I'll write it. And she wrote it, and they took the letter afterwards, and they were like, oh my God, this is really real. And it dawned on them that they're in World War II, and the reason that she is a spinster is because she went through World War I. So I sing a song in the show called Dear Bill, which is her composing that letter to, it starts out she's composing it to Bill, that their fake pilot, and then as time goes on, she tumbles into it, and it's revealed that she's actually singing it to a love that she lost
And
during
it's
World War
so
I.
beautiful, isn't it? Because the show is so hectic and so fast-paced and so funny, and it's a big old clown show, and then it just stops, doesn't it? And really allows itself to indulge in just that really pure emotion, and it really, you can hear a pin drop in the theatre.
I find that people, there are funny little quips within the song, as everything in the show. There's humour to be found everywhere, and I find that people really cling to the laughter.
Yeah.
People, they'll laugh at the first little thing and the second little thing, and as it goes on, I can hear. I'm like, you guys are trying quite hard to laugh because you know that it's slipping. The jokes are slipping. They're going away. This is getting really real. And we have certain shows where I'm like, oh, bless you guys for really, really trying to chuckle along when it's going to hit you like a train.
And there's that beautiful line in it, that was in the real letter that they wrote. It's something about why did we have to meet in the middle of a war?
Yeah, why did we meet in the middle of a war? What a silly thing for anyone to do.
Is that verbatim from the letter?
Yes.
That's the real letter, yeah.
Yeah, in our version, the song is this real outpouring of everything that she wants to say, because there's so many things happening at once. She's composing a letter to a fake letter to Bill, which then leads to a real letter to her real life lost love. But then she's also talking to his memory, so she's saying things that she never got to say and wish she could have said. So, but the real life letter was actually very, by all accounts, they tried to write something all florid about like how I love you and I look out into the sky and think of you, and Hester took the letter away and came back, and it was just very conversational, just like, oh, you won't believe what happened yesterday. Oh, yeah, I know. Well, we miss you here, and don't let them send you anywhere dangerous. I won't allow it. And why did we go and meet in the middle of a war? What a silly thing to do. And it's just it's so tiny but so huge. And
That's why it's so moving. Again, in contrast to so much of the show that is sort of the tight lyric after tight lyric, to suddenly have such conversational lyrics.
Yeah.
It's such a shock.
Yeah,
isn't it?
and it tumbles. I use the word tumbles all the time to describe it, because it starts out, next door's greyhound came into the garden this morning. She's talking about, oh yeah, you won't believe what happened this morning, and then by the end of it, it's huge. There's so much to do when you come back, and she's planning a life with him that she knew that she never had. So there's so much at play, and it really resonates with people. It's very surreal to walk out at stage door, or walk into a room we have like a press night party or something, and everyone in there just wants to tell me that I made them cry. And I always think to myself, well, at least I know why. At least I know it's because I did some good work or something. Yes. At least it's not like, that tweet you sent 2 years ago really upset me. Yeah.
I love the moment at the end of the song where the applause just seems to go on forever. Compared to, again, the rest of this fast show.
Which is nice, because I turn away at the end of the song, because she's on the verge of tears for the end of it, and I don't want the audience to see her cry, so I turn away for that. But it also does give me a moment, because she's so clenched and has so much tension in her body, and to do that song, the song's about 7 minutes long, and I'm just out front for the whole thing, and I don't move my feet, I sort of just about move my hands. So yeah, that when I get a nice long applause, it does give me a little moment to breathe out and mop my brow while I've turned away. Yeah.
It's a showstopper, isn't it? It's a real show-stopping moment.
It's the only moment in the show where I feel is work. It truly are. The rest of the show is fun and silly and play. It's real play. We're just playing. We're just making funny faces, and we're seeing what we can get away with, really. A lot of us are going like, how far can I push this joke? And it's always evolving and breathing. And then I get to Dear Bill, and I think, okay, we have to strap in, we have to do the work. And then the payoff will be as I get to pull more funny faces after that. It's also a long song, so I have to try and keep my mannerisms the same. To steer me and guide me, because otherwise I might veer off. I'm terrified I'll forget the words in that song. I never have. Touch wood. Touch fake plastic table wood.
The camaraderie in the group is just so strong. You can feel it coming off the stage. And there were some brilliant moments when I saw it of improvisation in the show. I think, someone's tie fell off or something. And they were just riffing together completely in role. You've obviously just worked so deeply on the characters. You know who they are and can just speak in their voices when something doesn't go as expected. And you've done lots of improvisation in your past training, Jack, haven't you? Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I studied in Liverpool, and I'm from Merseyside. I'm from the Wirral, and I joined a company called Impropriety in Liverpool, which was an incredible company. Shout out to Rosie, Trev, Angie, Al, Jess, all the guys. Love you all. And joined those guys, did loads of gigs, loads of shows, loads of workshops, learned so much. You know, I was training at a drama school at the time, and I was learning about all these, you know, lofty acting techniques that must be studied and revered. And then I'd go in with those guys, and we'd clown, and we'd and the spontaneity was there, and that's what I realised I loved. That's what I was like, oh, that's what it's play. It's got to be play at the heart of it. Otherwise, what's the point? So I loved that. And then, we did a few improvathons, 33 and a half hours. I think I did 3 or 4. It's hard to remember because they drive you insane. I'm sure you guys know.
Do you remember any of your settings and characters that you played in those?
Yes. So we did the first one I ever did was called When in Rome. And I played the emperor's brother called Flacius. And I had a running joke between shifts. So I started, just to start out at the first one, I drew a little mustache on myself, a little curly black mustache. And I thought, that'll be fun. And then between the first and second shift, I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh, actually, I think I just want to pad that out a little bit. Yeah, it's not quite heightened enough, so I padded it out. And somebody said, oh, are you going to make the mustache get bigger at every shift? And I said, yes, that's absolutely what I'm going to do. So by the end of it, by 33 and a half hours, it was a full face. It was like it turned into a skull because I was a villain. So I'd and my eyebrows had joined in. It was turned into like this full skull face in black lines.
It was like Day of the Dead by the end of it.
Yeah, literally, like a sugar skull. Yeah, it was, and that was very, very silly. Then we did one that was set in space, and I played an intergalactic the biggest supermodel in the universe, called Rearranged. And what else? Oh, we did one called Where There's a Will, which was like the old dark house. And I played an old horror actor called Pinter Cushion. Yeah, and he was also a psychic, and I kept getting possessed by ghosts. So I do whole shifts I did a whole shift as a guy's grandma who died, Grandma Ida, and I was just Grandma Ida for 2 hours whilst dressed as the other character, possessed. So it was joyous. It was crazy, wonderful times, and I cherish it and I miss it. I haven't done any improv since I've moved to London. I just haven't had the time to. I think London, you kind of have to hustle a bit, don't you? You kind of have to work and make your money, buy your bread. So I've not had a chance to stretch my legs and enjoy those little things that I enjoy. But
would you go back to it if you had the chance?
Oh, in a heartbeat. Yeah, in a heartbeat. I loved it. It's like I say, it's playing, and it's very easy to do. People don't think it is, but if you strip everything back and you just go, well, yeah, let's just play, then it's so easy. So to access that is free, and it's great. Yeah, I miss it.
That's so great that freedom and that play underpins all the work you're doing. I looked at some of the other things on your CV, and it seems like Operation Mincemeat has been a big part of that since you've graduated.
They've not let me go. I've been with them since 2019 and just clung on. But I've also been trying to keep free, for the show coming back. It's never been certain. It was never been given. So we've always been like, okay, well, that was a good little 5-week run. Let's see you at the next one. So I've always been I didn't have an agent for a little while, and then when I finally got one, I was like, great, happy to sign with you, but please don't book me anything. I must stay free for this show.
Of course, yeah, of course. And when you were training at LIPA, I saw you played Caliban, I think.
Yes, I did.
How was that? Did you enjoy the Shakespeare?
I loved that. So yeah, I got put in that group for the Tempest. There was. Our year group got split apart, and we would all each do in a Shakespeare play. And I got given the Tempest, and I loved the Tempest, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great to be Caliban? But I thought I won't get Caliban because I didn't. No one had twigged that I was a character actor then. I think I was a little bit more. A little bit more boyish, a little bit more love interesty. Mm-hmm. So I got a lot of that stuff, and I thought, oh, I'd love to be Caliban, but I don't think I will be. But because it was a visiting director, it was a lady who'd never worked with any of us before, saw me and went, oh, you're going to be Caliban, easily, great. And I was just like, oh, what, amazing. It was the part of that particular part of the course was that we had to muck in and do it. So I made my own costume, designed it, made it, fabricated it, did all my own makeup, because you were supposed to try and expand other skills. So yeah, I just got to play this little It was quite reptilian when I did it. This little reptilian grunting little monster. I just loved it.
That sounds amazing.
Sounds like you will your roles into being if you want them enough.
Truly.
And
I think you've. There's a lot of that mixed up in this job. Is the sort of like, oh, wouldn't it be great, but no. And I do that all the time. I go, oh, but no, oh, that's silly. But would it be lovely? But no. And then when they do come off, it's even better. I truly do pinch myself. I know it's quite cliche, it's quite saccharine, but I truly do. There's so many moments. You know, as I say, I was a big fan of the guys who were in the show with me, and sometimes I'll be stood in the wing and I'll be watching them, and I'll chuckle watching what they're doing, and then I'll go, oh, I get to go on. I'm with them. I'm also here, and it's really very sweet. I really like it. Yeah.
And so if you will your parts into being, the obvious question is, once Operation Mincemeat has, won all the Tonys on Broadway and closed after...
I was going to say, the next thing I'm willing into being is a loft apartment in New York.
Yeah, so fair enough. After 20 successful years on Broadway, when you're finally released from the part of Hester, what part are you going to will into being?
Beetlejuice is coming over.
I will have to fight you for it, but yeah, okay.
That's it. I know. There's a lot of people. I know it's a hot property, and a lot of people want to do it. But I'm the thing that not a lot of people know is I'm very, very spooky.
I believe you.
I saw on your Spotlight special skills your tarot reading.
Yes,
so I was very interested in.
Sure, yeah. I was a practicing Wiccan for many, many years.
Wow.
I let it go due to spooky things. I phased off. I was like, I think I perhaps dabbled and went a little bit too far into things that I wasn't ready for, and I left that off. But yeah, I have a huge passion for all things horror, all things gothic. My side hustle business, which again I don't really talk about too much, but is I make masks and monsters and replicas of things from movies. That's what I do in the day. I do that all day, and then theatre at night. Again, if you'd have told 10-year-old Jack that he made monsters by day and was on the West End stage by night, he would have wouldn't have believed you at all. So yeah, I'm like, I just think I am. There's a little bit of Beetlejuice in me, the ghost with the most. Yeah, I think that's something I'm definitely got my eye on.
Oh, we should get you in Society of Strange.
Oh,
yes, for sure. Yes,
very
improvised spooky show.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, homaging all the great spooky writers.
Oh, easily.
A bit of H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, yeah, I'd love all that.
Particularly if you have drawn back the veil yourself and dabbled too far beyond the confines of human knowledge, then there we go. First-hand experience.
I did an improvised horror movie once as well. I can't remember what it was called, but I will... If I remember, I will hit you up.
Sure. Well, that's why I loved that improvathon that we did that was called Where There's a Will, the old dark house one. It was around Halloween. That's the reason that we set it as that. I think it was like the 27th of October or something. So we said, okay, well, let's lean into it a little bit. And that was to me, that was the most fun one as well, because I got to dress in black velvet and be and channel spirits and hold seances and then they'd recreate some of my horror movies. I'd list out all these fake horror movies that I've been in, and then some of the shifts it'd just be, now let's see Pinter Cushion's classic film Don't Look Now 2, I Said Don't Look. I had a whole list in my phone that I'd kept after it. I love anything spooky, anything horror. It's definitely the way to my heart.
Great.
My puppy is called Dracula, so that's where we are. Yeah.
You shorten it to Drac with affection. Draxy.
Yeah, which I think is a naughty. He's naughty. He's a naughty dog,
right.
And I think that's a naughty name. I think we kind of cursed him with a little impish name. But he's a jet black Italian greyhound, and he looked like we got him, and he was like, just looks like a little fruit bat. And I got him as a gift for my partner Jasmine. She obviously, being in a Western show, you're out 6 or 7 nights a week. So Jasmine is sort of frequently, she'll work all day, come home to no one. Mm-hmm. So I thought, okay, well, I'll get you a little puppy and you can kind of have some companionship. But then the rule was, well, I'm buying the puppy, so I get to name it. And she was coming up with all these really cute names. She wanted to call him Porridge at one point. I'm trying to think of all these little sweet names she was throwing out. And I was like, sure, hey, nice. But I'm buying the puppy, so I get to name it. So yeah, he's Dracula.
He's
Draxi.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Porridge and Draxi are very much on opposite ends.
Yeah,
of
they
the-
really
and he doesn't look like a porridge. He does look like a Draxi. He's very.
Massive
Like the blood
fangs.
dripping from his teeth.
Oh yeah, his little fangs.
Going back to Operation Mincemeat, I don't think we've mentioned yet that, of course, Jordan, you have a connection to the show. And indeed, the two of you, Jack and Jordan, have worked together despite not really having spoken.
Yeah,
we
sure.
have, yeah.
Did we speak at Stage Door?
Very briefly.
Yeah, I thought we
very
did, yeah.
briefly. Yeah. I've been standing in for the keyboard 2 player in the show occasionally. So yeah, I've played the show.
A little
about 4
asterisk here.
times.
Can you explain? Because I think it's something that people might not know that much about. What is keyboard 2 as a position?
Great question, Andrew. Keyboard 2 is the second piano part in the orchestra. So I get to, when I stand in Operation Mincemeat, I get to play all of the jazzy saxophones and the beautiful flute and clarinet you'll hear in the song that we were discussing earlier. And it's potentially the most fun I've ever had playing a written
really?
musical. It's so joyful.
It's very eclectic, isn't it? It's everything. We throw everything into it. It's There's not one style for that show.
No, you're
Which
quite
is why
right.
I heard that the Showstopper had Operation Mincemeat as a suggestion the
did.
other week,
It has.
and
I've
I
had
thought,
it
what?
twice now.
Well, I thought, what the bloody hell would you do? Because we don't stick to one style. There's everything. There's rap. There's like loads of jazzy stuff. And then there's this tender love ballad. So I thought, well, I wonder what you guys would pick.
Well, we've done some work on it, like how, what would we do? How would we approach the world of Mincemeat? And a lot of it comes down to homaging and honouring the camaraderie between you guys
Yeah.
and that ensemble work, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. The band are down below you guys, aren't
Yeah,
we?
in the
Like
pit.
underneath. One of my favourite things, the first time I ever sat in, firstly, I've seen the show a couple of times, but in its previous lives. And I've got a little screen down in the orchestra pit to watch the show. And I was just shadowing at that time. I was sitting in the band to see how things are in the orchestra pit. And apparently my jaw just like hit the floor and did not move for the glitzy finale of the show.
yeah.
And obviously I was there to, I was at work. I was meant to watch the pianist and pay attention to the music, and I just couldn't. I could not take my eyes off this screen. But yeah, when I played my first show, the whole show, we've got these tip-tappy feet just above our heads, because you guys are literally doing all of that gorgeous action right above us. Aren't
Yeah.
you? Yeah, it's very exciting.
It's
exciting.
the Fortune is a wonderful small theatre. We found out the other day, somebody shared a fact. What was the other theatre now? Was it the Dominion? Somebody shared that you can fit the entire Fortune Theatre, the building, on the stage of, I think, the Dominion.
Wow.
Please don't quote me. My
Sounds
memory's
about
like mashed
right.
potato.
Wow,
But
Dominion is colossal.
yeah, but apparently I didn't know this until we arrived at the theatre. We were talking to some of the wardrobe staff that the Fortune in the West End is lovingly referred to as the Wendy House. Because it is. It's just this sort of tiny little. It's like a long, skinny building, so everybody's is quite on top of each other. So yeah, the band is tucked away quite neatly underneath us as we sweat above.
Not a bad seat in that house, because you're just
Yeah.
all looking
Yeah.
down, enjoying all those amazing
Yeah.
stage pictures and patterns that you guys are so tight with your choreography. It's
Sure.
so inspiring.
I called the auditorium. I've sort of nicknamed the Wall of Feedback, because the last venue that we performed in was Riverside Studios, which was lovely, but was a TV studio. It's a TV studios where they film Have I Got News for You, and panel shows like that, and so the sound was designed to be controlled and recorded. You could no feedback there. So we're doing a comedy. We're desperate for the laughs and to know things are working.
You want to hear every gasp, every laugh, everything, don't
so
you?
we'd have certain shows where we'd be like, oh God, what's going on? It's not landing. And then a friend who would have been like, are you joking? That was the most raucous audience I've ever been in my life. But the Fortune is compact, and it's 3 levels, and it is a wall of feedback. They I can see them all, I can hear them all, and it's lovely. There's nothing quite like it. Yeah.
Does it feel like
Definitely.
a good home for the show?
Oh yes, it's found its home. I feel, and hopefully it'll stick around for 33 and a half years and haunt the place like the Woman in Black.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I mean, are there any spooky vibes anywhere in there, Jack? Have you felt her anywhere there?
No, I haven't. And I was quite hopeful, because I know it's this old building. I thought, oh yeah, that'll be fun. The other day, one of our dressers was in the dressing room after we'd left. And she came back a little while later and she said to me, has anything weird happened to you in this room? And I said, no, why? And she said, well, I was in here after you guys had left. I was hanging up some costumes. And then Dave's hairdryer turned on by itself. And I went, oh my God, that's so creepy. And then Dave went, oh no, I know why. It's because my hairdryer had overheated earlier. And I'd forgotten to turn it off at the switch. And I said, so our dresser, Lucy, she'd gone round telling everybody. And I said, well, don't correct the story. Let everyone think that a spooky thing had happened, because that's fun, isn't it? We want that vibe.
Oh, one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. When I was younger, I worked at the Palace Theatre in Westcliff, a repertory theatre, and I worked on box office, and a parcel came for one of the actors who was touring in Woman in Black, and they were all there preparing for their show. And so I took the parcel up to the dressing rooms to try and find the actor, and looked into the green room, and all the lights were off, and the Woman in Black was playing the pinball machine. Completely made up in all her gubbins. And she turned around and looked at me with her full face of makeup in the light of the pinball. I was absolutely terrified.
I like the idea that she wasn't there at all, and you just hear disembodied pinball sounds. Ding, ding, bang, bang, bing, and you don't know that's just the ghost just playing pinball way into the night.
Yeah, exactly. It was just funny because she was a northern actress and she was just swearing her head off at the pinball machine. And it was just such a great character. It was a brilliant moment.
I've often remarked on that about this job. The earnestness of you going about your business. I did a musical in Liverpool called Bat Boy. You heard about Bat Boy?
Oh, I love Bat Boy.
I love Bat Boy,
Wow.
and I played Bat Boy, and I'm covered. I've got these big ears, these fangs, and I'm covered in fake blood.
Please send me the archive footage now.
Oh, I wish I had it. I'd come off stage and I'd sort of be like, I'd have a message. It'd be the interval. I'd have a message on my phone, and I'd be like, answering it in earnest, and never for myself taking a moment to think, well, actually, I've got big fangs and pointy ears on, and I'm covered in fake blood, because it's just the solemnity of going about your daily life whilst dressed as the woman playing pinball, dressed as the Woman in Black. Brilliant. She probably thought nothing of it.
Yeah.
It stayed with you.
Yeah.
So I love that. It's a very silly thing that people don't often consider about this job.
Well, it might be time. Are you up for some improvised singing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Excellent.
Great. I think that's the most enthusiastic yes we've ever had when you've asked that question. Ellie.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Often
normally a
people
lot of
say,
interpretation?
I guess that's fine.
Maybe if we have to.
Okay.
We usually ask them how they feel about it, but it was very clear that you were just like sparkly eyed.
You want to get going.
We'll do it. It'll be fun.
You're so ready
be
for
all
this.
right. Yeah.
Great.
It's going to be awesome.
Great.
Let's make up a song.
Sure. How about one about a fan who finally gets to be in the show?
Lovely.
I've tweeted and tweeted and hoped that they'd reply. I waited and waited, and sometimes I wondered why will they not notice me? I want to be in their show.
I messaged and messaged from behind my computer screen. I typed till my hands were sore, but I was never seen. I hope they will hear my call with everything I could be. I want to be in their show.
It's an open audition. Will I have my dreams come true at the open audition? See my life come through.
An open audition.
It's an open audition.
An open audition.
It's
They'll
an
hear
open
my
audition
dream.
for me
An open
and for
audition. It's time for our dream to come true. And then a message came one day in my inbox. I couldn't believe it. I was jumping so high.
I practiced and practiced. My song was on point. I didn't know that I would fall on my face, and it's gone so
badly.
They
Gone
didn't
so
see
wrong.
what I can do.
What I could be. It's written off for me.
At the open audition.
The open audition.
At an open audition.
The open audition.
At an open audition. For me and for you.
Where our dreams nearly came true.
Next. Patient. Amazing work.
What a callback.
Just either people are just delighted listening to this or really confused.
Yeah, I mean, if they know their musical theatre, Andrew, which I'm sure they do, they'll get the reference.
Absolutely. You can hear a lot of hubbub because we're in the Get Out, just having finished a show at the Rose Kingston.
Yeah, it was a really great show. The audience suggestions were absolutely brilliant, weren't they?
Yeah, it was called Cop Out, and the suggested setting was a British cop show.
Yeah, and it had all the tropes. It had the car chases. It had the relationships in the station. Oh, there was just uncovering identities.
It had Ali James walking on slowly from the back of stage, doing a slow clap, revealing greater forces at work.
That's the first time I've slow clapped in Showstopper.
Oh, wow, and it's a Showstopper classic.
It is. I've been in the show for 8 years and it felt good, I have to say. They're all clapping along, singing along at the end, and you led a great chorus with the words cop out, so there, you can't ask for more than that.
That was our episode. You can catch us on all of the usual social media channels.
Yeah, catch up with us on TikTok and Instagram, where we're doing lots of fun videos for your entertainment.
Yes, and on Insta and Facebook and the app previously known as Twitter.
Which is now called X, I believe, Andrew.
You're absolutely right, yes, X. And you can go to our website, showstopperthemusical.com, because over the next month, we're going to Horsham, we're going to Colchester, and we're going to be in the West End twice.
Yeah, October's going to be a busy month for us showstoppers, that's for sure, and November and December, so catch us in London's glittering West End.
We should probably carry on helping with the Get Out, because in Showstopper, everyone pitches in for the Get Out.
Absolutely, and I mean, it was just hats galore tonight, so it's carnage out there. We should get on with it.
Yeah, a lot of hats to pick up, a lot of vans to, well, I say a lot of vans, one van. Showstopper fits in one van. One van to pack, some tired showstoppers to drive home safely.
Hurrah.
See you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.